Hey everyone, so welcome to part 1 of 2 for the Infinity Countdown storyline. So after this video and next week's video, we're done with the countdown and we officially head in to the huge event known as Infinity Wars. So, let's get started. We start with Drax defending the Power Stone from Talonar and the Warbringer using their armies to collect the stone, knowing the signal is jammed and no one's coming. Drax grabs one of the Raptors, flying himself up to the enemy ship, trying to reach their comms. With no luck, Drax throws a machine at the wall, letting it explode. When he hears a voice calling for him, Quinnen, I think it's Quinnen, I can't really pronounce that, is a refugee from a few days prior. She ends up relaying a message to the Guardians and the Nova Corps. We see that the Raptors have taken over the base and have the remaining Nova Corps members lined up, ready for an execution. When a ship shoots down, landing on the Raptors, with Drax emerging from the wreckage, arming up the rest of the Corps members, getting ready for one last round. Meanwhile, in Telfarina, we see the Guardians have liked and subscribed to Oddball Comics, but in all seriousness, we see them fighting a bunch of Groot-like creatures, and as they try to get close to the Gardener, with Rocket blasting through on the monsters, the Gardener catching Rocket, he ends up pulling out a knife, stabbing him in the cheek. With the Gardener throwing Rocket to the ground, the Guardians swoop in, with Ant-Man kicking him in the face, Gamora trying to decapitate him. A tree shoots out of the ground, pushing Gamora away. Groot then jumps on his chest, pounding him, and ends up wrapping his vines around the Gardener, cleansing his mind. With that as a gift, he fully restores Groot back to normal, and even better than ever. And this time, Groot knows how to talk. But it's kind of weird. I really enjoy what they did, but now he talks in like the third person. But getting back on Earth though, we see Natalia, the Black Widow, at one of her safe houses in Europe when she finds a note that says, "Take care of this from L." And for us as the readers, if you've been keeping up with these videos, we know that it is Logan who knows where her safe house is. And she opens up the toilet and sees that he hid the Space Stone in there. And this is when we knew everything was going down the drain. Sorry, I had to do the dad joke. Just had to do it. So cutting back over to the Guardians, the fight really has just finished up as Groot literally blew up the colossal monster with flowers. They immediately get onto the ship and start flying to Drax to see everything in chaos. Drax looks up, seeing Galactus, but it's not really. But what is happening is Rocket and everyone else are in the robotic Galactus, kind of like a Trojan horse. With the boot jets failing, the fake Galactus falls to the ground, blowing up. Rocket shooting out of it for the whole arsenal as Star-Lord and Groot try to sneak up from behind. With the Warbringer shooting a beam through the ship, we see everyone jumping out, ready to take on the Chitauri army. With Nova knocking the Warbringer off his ship, Talonar blasts Nova off of him. Then Talonar asks if he's Richard Rider. When he replies with yes, Talonar takes off his gloves, showing his missing finger, revealing that who Richard sees standing before him is his brother Robbie Rider. With the two bickering to each other, a shadow of the Warbringer starts to loom over them. He slams down his axe, making a mushroom cloud of smoke appear. That kind of just tells us how strong the Warbringer really is. He is just crazy strong. So with everyone fighting, Ant-Man bounces off everyone's shoulders and hops onto the Power Stone, trying to shrink it with his pin particles. But with no avail, with everyone fighting for their lives, everything seems to become more bleak by the moment. Going back to Earth though, we see Adam Warlock leaving Egypt after being sent back in time from Kang with his only job to find Magus, his evil counterpart, and the Soul Stone. He flies over Planet Safe to look for him, where we saw Kang had originally told where he would be at this time, but come to find out that Ultron had actually killed Magus for the Soul Stone. So after fighting off a wave of Ultron's minions, he finds his palace surrounded by destroyed buildings. But going inside, he sees that Ultron has actually taken the Silver Surfer and has forced him to become his herald. With Adam breaking through the lines, Ultron blasts him out of the palace, forcing the augmented Silver Surfer to hunt down Adam. We come to find out Ultron is using all the souls of the dead that the Surfer had led to fill Galactus' hunger, torment him. As Adam reaches out to the Surfer and tells him how he's one of the most noble beings in the galaxy, and as Adam touches his forehead, a cocoon wraps around the Silver Surfer, healing him. So, if you guys don't really know much about Adam Warlock or the Silver Surfer, they actually have a lot of history together, especially from the original Infinity Gauntlet storyline, where they had to team up to try to beat down Thanos. Getting back into it, thinking that the Surfer is dead, Ultron comes in attacking Adam when the Silver Surfer emerges from the cocoon, launching himself out of space. So with this, Ultron is laughing at the fact knowing he had won when we come to see him flee, and then as he launches an arsenal of warheads holding onto the Ultron virus that he's been using to spread across the galaxy so he can spread his influence a lot more. But going back to the Guardians, the fight is still raging on, with Groot swiping the Chitauri out of the way. We see Gamora riding one of the Raptors, disposing of them in the sky. Soon after, the Warbringer yells to the crowd, announcing, "All who wish to survive, leave now. There will be no survivors." And this part is cool because when we get out to find the Warbringer's intentions of using the Power Stone, he actually wants to free the Chitauri from Thanos' control. So there's a lot more depth to the situation besides he just wants power. The only person that really stands against him seems to be Ant-Man, and who actually gets blasted immediately after from being open in the area. But when Ant-Man shrinks down from the blast, he actually hits his head on a rock, effectively knocking him out, and he ends up landing on the wounded Nova, getting carried out. So everyone believes that he's dead. With the Nova Corps fleeing, the Guardians provide ground support as the last ship takes off, leaving them stranded between two armies. So within the wreckage of the landscape, Talonar is on the ground with a broken back when his brother Richard runs up saying, "I've never stopped looking for you." Robbie starts to explain how the stones are different than before because this universe is different. And I believe this is more of a reference to Secret Wars, and when after the event was over, everyone was placed into a new universe. It's kind of like Marvel's failed attempt to reboot the whole universe. But with Robbie's wishes to see his new family again, the Raptors take Robbie and end up flying up to safety, with his last words of advice saying, "It doesn't matter about the size, it's always mind over matter." So with the Guardians fighting a hopeless fight, we see they're kind of saying their final thoughts and kind of final goodbyes, knowing this final fight is going to end up killing them. Star-Lord's last wish is to hear Drax play his instrument one last time. He pulls it out of his case conveniently, saying, "I hope we meet again," as he plays. But in the meantime, Nova flies over saying that this is just a glitch and it's mind over matter. So Star-Lord looks over at the rock, placing his hand on it, concentrating, when it shrinks to the size of his hand. And astonished, the Warbringer jumps in, trying to take the stone, when Star-Lord literally just swipes him away, then tossing the stone to Drax. As he plays, the stone starts to make him float up into the sky. With the world being anchored by the stone originally, it starts to collapse on itself. Then, Nova ends up grabbing the stone and flying everyone out, escaping certain death. And we actually end up in the final pages issue. We see the Silver Surfer pleading to someone, and we come to find out it's the Lifebringer Galactus, saying, "Will you consume one world to save the entire galaxy?" Guys, it just got so much bigger. So, if you guys are excited to see part 2, it'll be next week on Saturday. I'm really happy about the series, and I'm super excited to keep going for the next few months with this and other characters explained. We actually have another video coming out on Monday, so be ready to check that out. And if you guys like this stuff, please like and subscribe to this and hit that little alert button. Other than that, I'll check y'all later. See ya!